The morning started with so much hope. Maya had spent 3 hours getting ready, making sure everything was perfect. Her portfolio was organized, her references were printed on expensive paper, and she practiced her presentation at least 20 times in front of the mirror. This was supposed to be the interview that changed everything. Sterling Heights Country Club wasn't just any client. It was the kind of place where deals worth millions happened over lunch, where the city's most influential people spent their weekends. Getting hired as their lead interior designer would put her small business on the map. She'd finally be able to move out of her tiny studio apartment, pay off her student loans, and maybe even hire an assistant. The building looked even more impressive in person than it did in photos. Tall white columns, perfectly manicured gardens, and a circular driveway where luxury cars were parked in neat rows. Maya took a deep breath, grabbed her portfolio, and walked through the heavy oak doors. The receptionist barely looked up when she entered. "Can I help you?" "I have an appointment with the membership committee." "Maya Thompson. I'm here about the interior design position." The woman's eyes flickered over her, just for a second, but Maya caught it. That look, she'd seen it before, though she always hoped she was imagining things. "Take a seat. Someone will be with you shortly." 30 minutes passed. Maya watched as other people came and went, most of them greeted warmly by name. She checked her phone, reviewed her notes, and tried not to let anxiety creep in. Finally, a man in his 60s wearing a navy blazer approached her. "Miss Thompson? Follow me, please." The conference room was intimidating. A long mahogany table, leather chairs, and 5 people sitting on one side, looking at her like judges at a trial. The man who'd fetched her gestured to a single chair facing them all. "Please, sit down. I'm Richard Sterling, club president. This is our membership committee." Maya smiled, trying to project confidence despite her racing heart. "Thank you all for meeting with me. I'm really excited about the opportunity to discuss how I can help modernize Sterling Heights while respecting its heritage and tradition." She opened her portfolio and began her presentation. She'd worked on boutique hotels, upscale restaurants, and several high-end residential projects. Her designs balanced classic elegance with contemporary comfort. She showed them mood boards, fabric samples, and detailed plans she'd created specifically for their club. But something felt wrong from the start. They weren't really listening. Richard kept checking his watch. A woman with blonde hair pulled back in a tight bun kept whispering to the man beside her. Another committee member was scrolling through his phone under the table. "This is all very nice," Richard interrupted before she'd finished. "But I think there's been a misunderstanding." Maya's stomach dropped. "A misunderstanding?" Sterling Heights has a very specific aesthetic, a very particular culture. We're looking for someone who truly understands our values, our history, someone who would be a natural fit with our members. "I understand tradition," Maya said carefully. "That's why I studied classical design principles extensively. I can create spaces that honor history while making them functional for modern use." The blonde woman leaned forward. "It's not just about design, dear. It's about understanding our community. The people who belong here have certain expectations, certain standards." There it was. That word. Certain. Maya had heard it before, used the same way. It was code. It meant people like us. People who look like us. People who aren't like you. "With all due respect," Maya said, keeping her voice steady even as anger built in her chest, "my work speaks for itself. I have references from clients who, we've made our decision." Richard cut her off. "We don't think this is the right fit. We'll be going in a different direction. You're rejecting me without even seeing my full presentation. We've seen enough. Thank you for your time." Just like that, it was over. Maya sat there for a moment, stunned. She'd driven 2 hours for this meeting. She'd spent weeks preparing, She turned down another smaller job because she thought this one was guaranteed. May I ask what specifically about my qualifications doesn't meet your standards? She asked, though she already knew the answer. The committee members exchanged glances. Richard's jaw tightened. As I said, it's about fit. Cultural fit. Unsure you understand. She understood perfectly. Maya gathered her portfolio with shaking hands and walked out of that conference room with her head up, even though everything inside her wanted to crumble. She made it through the lobby, past the receptionist who still didn't look at her, and out the front doors. The tears came the moment she was outside. She found a bench near the parking lot and sat down, letting the portfolio case rest beside her. All that work, all that hope, gone in 15 minutes because of something she couldn't change and shouldn't have to. You all right there, miss? Maya looked up to see an older man in a janitor's uniform. He had kind eyes and gray hair, and he was holding a trash bag but had stopped working to check on her. I'm fine, she said automatically, wiping her face. Doesn't look fine to me. He gestured to the bench. Mind if I sit for a minute? These old knees appreciate any break they can get. She nodded, too tired to care about appearances anymore. They sat in silence for a moment. Then Maya found herself talking. Maybe it was because he was a stranger. Maybe it was because he worked there and might understand. Maybe she just needed to say it out loud. They rejected me because of my skin, she said quietly. They didn't even look at my work. Not really. They made up their minds the second I walked in that room. Because I don't fit their idea of what someone should look like in their perfect little club. The janitor listened without interrupting. He didn't offer empty reassurances or tell her she was imagining things. He just listened. I worked so hard, Maya continued, her voice breaking. I went to school. I built a business from nothing. I'm good at what I do. Really good. But none of that matters to people like them. They see my face and they've already decided I'm not good enough. That I don't belong. I know exactly what you mean, the janitor said softly. I've seen it my whole life. Seen it in this place too, more times than I can count. Do you work here full time? Maya asked. Something like that. Name's James, by the way. Maya. Well, Maya, I'm going to tell you something, and I want you to really hear me. James turned to face her. Those people in there? Their opinion doesn't define your worth. Their rejection doesn't determine your future. I know it hurts right now. I know it feels like a door slamming in your face. But sometimes the doors that close are protecting you from places you don't want to be anyway. I needed this job, Maya said. You needed a job. Not necessarily this one. There's a difference. Maya managed a small smile. You sound like you've given this speech before. He pushed a folder across the table toward her. This is a real project with a real budget. I need someone to redesign the executive offices on floors 15 through 20. Someone who can blend modern functionality with warmth and character. Someone who understands that good design isn't about showing off. It's about making spaces where people actually want to work and create. Maya opened the folder. The budget number made her eyes widen. It was more than she'd made in the last 2 years combined. I won't lie to you, James continued. What I saw at Sterling Heights did influence my decision to reach out. But not because I felt sorry for you. Because I was angry. Angry that talented people get overlooked because of prejudice and stupidity. Angry that I own a property where that kind of behavior happens. I've launched a full investigation into their practices, by the way. That's a separate matter. But seeing their ignorance made me think about how many other talented people get passed over every day for the wrong reasons. So yes, meeting you inspired me to do better, to look beyond the usual suspects. But make no mistake, I'm offering you this job because you're good, not because I'm nice. Maya sat back, absorbing all of this. I don't know what to say. Say you'll look at the project brief. Say you'll give me your honest assessment of what these spaces need. And then, if you want the job, say yes. If you don't, say no. No pressure either way. Patricia handed Maya another folder, thicker this time. These are the current floor plans, photos of the existing spaces, and some initial thoughts from our team about functionality needs. Maya opened it, and despite her swirling emotions, her designer brain kicked in immediately. The spaces were dated, cold, corporate in the worst way. Fluorescent lighting, beige everywhere, no personality. She could see a dozen improvements right away. The people who work on these floors, Maya said slowly, what do they do? Creative teams mostly. Product designers, software architects, marketing strategists. People who need to innovate and collaborate. Then these spaces are all wrong. Maya pointed to a photo. These cubicles kill creativity. The lighting is terrible. There's no natural flow, no areas for spontaneous collaboration, no quiet spaces for focused work. It's like someone designed it to make people want to leave as quickly as possible. James smiled. That's exactly what I thought. So what would you do differently? And just like that, Maya forgot to be nervous. She started talking about open concepts and flexible workstations, about bringing in natural light and adding green spaces, about color psychology and acoustic design, about creating zones for different types of work and building in areas where people could actually relax and recharge. She talked for 20 minutes straight, gesturing with her hands, sketching quick ideas on a notepad Patricia provided. When she finally stopped, she realized everyone in the room was watching her with interest. Sorry, she said. I got carried away. Don't apologize. James was grinning now. That's exactly the kind of passion I'm looking for. So, Miss Thompson, do you want the job? Maya looked at him, really looked at him. This man who could have walked past her on that bench, who could have ignored her tears and gone on with his day. Instead, he'd stopped. He'd listened. And now he was offering her not charity, but opportunity. Yes, she said firmly. Yes, I want the job. Excellent. Patricia will handle all the contract details. I want to see preliminary designs in 3 weeks. And Maya? I know you're probably wondering if people will say you only got this because of who you know or what happened. Let them talk. You're going to do incredible work, and that will speak louder than any rumor ever could. As Maya left that building an hour later, contract signed and head spinning, she thought about how much can change in a week. 7 days ago, she'd been crying on a bench, feeling like her dreams were dead. Now she had the biggest opportunity of her career, and the strangest mentor she could have ever. Imagine, the first 2 weeks flew by in a blur of measurements, material samples, and late-night sketching designs. Maya had never worked on anything this big before. 5 entire floors, hundreds of workstations, conference rooms, break areas, private offices. Every decision felt massive. She was sitting in her apartment at midnight, surrounded by fabric swatches and paint chips, when her phone rang. James, did I wake you? He asked. I'm working. I haven't slept properly since I started this project. Join the club. Listen, I'm going over some budget projections tomorrow morning at 6. Want to sit in? Might give you insight into how we think about investments and returns. Could be useful for your business. Maya hesitated. She had a meeting with a lighting supplier at 9. But learning from someone like James Carter? That wasn't an opportunity she could pass up. I'll be there, she said. That became the pattern. James didn't just give her a project and disappear. He started including her in meetings that had nothing to do with interior design. Strategy sessions, vendor negotiations, presentations from department heads. At first, Maya felt out of place. But James always made sure she understood why he'd invited her. "You're not just a designer," he told her one afternoon as they grabbed coffee between meetings. "You're running a business. These skills matter. Watch how they present data. See how they handle objections. Learn what makes a compelling pitch. Why are you doing this?" Maya asked. "The mentoring, I mean. You've already given me the biggest job of my career." James was quiet for a moment. They were walking through the building's lobby, watching employees come and go. "You know what the hardest part of success is?" he finally said, remembering what it felt like before. "I grew up poor. Single mom, 2 jobs, never enough money for anything. I built this company from nothing, worked 100-hour weeks, slept in my car more times than I can count. And you'd think that experience would stay with you, keep you humble. But success has a way of insulating you. You start to forget what struggle feels like." He paused at the window, looking out at the city. "That's why I do the janitor thing. Why I work in warehouses sometimes or drive delivery trucks. To remember. To stay connected to reality. But meeting you that day reminded me of something else. It's not enough to just remember. You have to actually do something with that understanding. You have to help create opportunities for people who deserve them." Maya felt a lump forming in her throat. "I'm grateful, really. But I also worry that people think I don't deserve this. That I only got it because of what happened at Sterling Heights." "People will always have opinions," James said. "The question is whether you let those opinions define you or whether you let your work speak for itself. And Maya, your work is speaking volumes." He was right. The preliminary designs she'd submitted had impressed everyone. The executive team loved her vision. She was proposing something bold, transforming those sterile corporate floors into spaces that felt alive. Natural materials, living plant walls, flexible furniture that could be rearranged for different needs. Quiet pods for focused work. Collaboration zones with writable walls and comfortable seating. Break rooms that didn't feel like afterthoughts but like actual places to recharge. But the praise made her uncomfortable. She kept waiting for someone to find fault, to say she wasn't good enough. The voice in her head kept asking if she really belonged here. It didn't help that she was starting to hear whispers. She'd catch people looking at her strangely in the hallways. Once, she overheard 2 women talking in the bathroom. "She's Carter's new favorite. Did you see her in the strategy meeting yesterday? What's an interior designer doing there? I heard she has some kind of special connection to him. Nobody knows what exactly." Maya had left without washing her hands, her face burning. The whispers got louder when James started introducing her to his network. There was a lunch with a venture capitalist who'd funded some of the biggest startups in the country. A dinner with the CEO of a major architecture firm. An invitation to a charity gala where Maya found herself shaking hands with people she'd only seen in magazines. "This is Maya Thompson," James would say. "Brilliant designer, sharp business mind. Remember her name." It was overwhelming and amazing and terrifying all at once. These were connections that could transform her career. But Maya couldn't shake the feeling that she was somehow cheating, that she was getting opportunities others deserved more. One evening, about a month into the project, James invited her to his office. It was after hours, the building mostly empty. His office was surprisingly simple. Expensive, yes, but not flashy. Books lined one wall. Photos of various projects covered another. "Sit," he said, gesturing to a comfortable chair. "We need to talk." Maya's stomach dropped. This was it. He'd realized he'd made a mistake. He was going to fire her. "You're struggling with something," James said, sitting across from her. "I can see it. You're doing excellent work, but you're not enjoying it. What's going on?" Maya didn't want to admit it, but the concern in his eyes made her honest. "I feel like a fraud." Like I'm only here because you felt bad for me. And everyone else thinks so too. I hear them talking. They wonder why you're investing so much time in me. And honestly, I wonder the same thing. James leaned forward. Can I tell you a story? She nodded. Once or twice. To myself, mostly. James stood up slowly. Can I give you one more piece of advice? Sure. Don't let their narrow minds make you small. Keep doing your work. Keep being excellent. The right opportunities will come. And when they do, those people in there will realize what they missed out on. Maya nodded, feeling a tiny bit lighter than she had moments before. Thank you, James. Really. Anytime. You take care now. She watched him walk back toward the club, dragging his trash bag behind him. Just another worker, invisible to the people inside. But he'd shown her more kindness in 5 minutes than that entire committee. And Maya picked up her portfolio and headed to her car. The drive home was long, and the tears came again somewhere around mile 30. But underneath the hurt and anger, something else was growing. Determination. They'd rejected her. Fine. She'd prove them wrong. What Maya didn't know, couldn't possibly know, was that the janitor she'd just met wasn't really a janitor at all. James Carter was one of the wealthiest men in the state. And he'd just witnessed something that was about to change both of their lives forever. A week passed. 7 days of Maya trying to move forward, trying not to think about that humiliating rejection. She threw herself into work, taking on smaller projects that didn't pay much but kept her busy. Anything to stop replaying that meeting in her head. She was sitting at her desk in her small apartment, sketching ideas for a coffee shop renovation, when her email pinged. The sender name made her do a double take. Carter Industries. Maya stared at the screen. Carter Industries was massive. They owned tech companies, real estate developments, and had their hands in sustainable energy. Everyone knew the name, even if most people had never seen the reclusive founder. Her hand trembled slightly as she opened the email. Dear Ms. Thompson, we came across your portfolio and were impressed by your innovative approach to interior design. We are currently seeking a designer for a major renovation project at our corporate headquarters. The budget is substantial, and we believe your aesthetic aligns with our vision for the space. Would you be available for a meeting this Thursday at 10 a.m. to discuss the project? Please let us know at your earliest convenience. Maya read it 3 times. Then she checked the email address to make sure it wasn't spam. It was legitimate. The official Carter Industries domain. Her first thought was excitement. Her second was suspicion. How did they find her? She had a website, sure, but she was a small independent designer. Companies, like Carter Industries, usually went with big prestigious firms. But she wasn't about to question good fortune. She typed back a professional response confirming the meeting, then spent the next 3 days preparing like her life depended on it. Thursday morning arrived too quickly and too slowly at the same time. Maya, dressed in her best suit, packed her portfolio with her strongest work, and made the drive to Carter Industries headquarters. The building was stunning, all glass and steel, modern but warm somehow. The lobby was intimidating in a completely different way than Sterling Heights had been. This wasn't about old money and tradition. This was about innovation and power. Young professionals rushed past with tablets and coffee cups. Everything moved fast here. Maya Thompson, a woman in her 30s, approached with a warm smile. I'm Patricia, Mr. Carter's executive assistant. Thanks for coming in. Follow me, please. They took an elevator to the top floor. Maya's heart was pounding. This was real. This was actually happening. Patricia led her down a hallway lined with modern art and into a large conference room. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the entire city. A long table sat in the center, and at the head of that table sat someone Maya recognized. James, the janitor from Sterling Heights, except He wasn't wearing a janitor's uniform anymore. He was in an expensive charcoal suit, crisp white shirt, and a tie that probably cost more than her rent. And everyone in the room was looking at him like he was the most important person in the world, because he was. Maya's portfolio nearly slipped from her hands. She stood frozen in the doorway, trying to process what she was seeing. James looked up and smiled. That same kind smile from the bench. "Miss Thompson, please, come in and have a seat." She walked forward on autopilot and sat down, her mind racing. The janitor was James Carter, the billionaire, the founder of this entire empire. And she'd cried in front of him about being rejected. "I can see you're surprised," James said gently. "I apologize for not being fully transparent when we met. Though technically, I didn't lie. I do work there, and my name is James." Maya couldn't form a complete sentence. "I was emptying trash cans, yes. I do it sometimes. At properties I own, including Sterling Heights Country Club." He leaned back in his chair. "It's something I started doing years ago. When you sit in boardrooms all day, you lose touch with reality. You forget what matters. So I go out, I work regular jobs, I talk to regular people. It keeps me grounded. Reminds me where I came from." Maya finally found her voice. "You own Sterling Heights?" "I do. Bought it 5 years ago as an investment property. I don't involve myself in their day-to-day operations, which was clearly a mistake. I had no idea how they were conducting business until I witnessed what happened to you. So this meeting..." Maya felt heat rising in her cheeks. "Is this a pity hire? Because if it is, I don't want. Stop right there." James held up his hand. "I don't do pity. I do business. After you left that day, I went home and looked you up. Really looked. I reviewed your website, read every testimonial, studied your portfolio. Maya, you're talented. Genuinely talented. The work you did on the Riverside Hotel? Brilliant. The way you transformed that old warehouse into the art gallery. Exactly the kind of innovative thinking we need here. When I was 25, I had an idea for a new kind of solar panel. More efficient, less expensive to manufacture. I knew it could work, but I had no money, no connections, no credibility. I pitched it to maybe 50 investors. They all said no. Too risky. Too unproven. Some of them were nicer about it than others, but the answer was always no." He stood up and walked to his bookshelf, pulling down a framed photo. "Then I met this man, David Chun. He was a successful entrepreneur, and he agreed to meet with me as a favor to a friend. I gave him my pitch, expecting another rejection. Instead, he wrote me a check for $50,000 on the spot." James handed Maya the photo. It showed a younger version of him standing next to an older Asian man, both smiling. I asked him why. Why invest in me when 50 other people had passed? You know what he said? He said he saw something in me that reminded him of himself. That hunger, that determination. But more than that, he said the world needed more people willing to bet on potential instead of just proven track records. James sat back down. David mentored me for years. Introduced me to the right people. Taught me things I never could have learned on my own. And you know what people said? They said I only succeeded because of him. That I was his pet project. That I didn't earn it. What did you do? Maya asked quietly. I proved them wrong. I built something real. Something valuable. David gave me a chance, yes. But I'm the one who took that chance and ran with it. And eventually, my success spoke louder than their doubts ever could. He looked directly at her. Maya, I'm not investing in you because I feel sorry for you. I'm investing because David taught me that this is how you change things. You don't just complain about unfairness. You actively work to create opportunities for talented people who deserve them. You be the person who opens doors. But what if I fail? The question came out small, vulnerable. Then you fail. And you learn from it and try again. But you won't fail. I've seen your work. I've watched how you think, how you solve problems. You belong here. The only person who doesn't seem to know that yet is you. Maya felt tears threatening, but these were different from the ones she'd cried on that bench. These were tears of relief, of hope, of possibility. Now, James said, his tone shifting back to business. Stop worrying about what people think and focus on what you know. You're talented. You're smart. You work harder than anyone I've seen. Own that. And if anyone has a problem with your success, that's their issue to deal with, not yours. Maya left his office that night feeling lighter than she had in weeks. She still had doubts. The whispers wouldn't stop overnight. But something had shifted. She was starting to believe, really believe, that maybe she did deserve to be here. And that made all the difference.